Welcome to the Love What You Do podcast. I'm your host, Doug Shapiro. These are the conversations that open doors to what's possible when you love what you do.
We're hot.
Sweet.
Hot and going.
Valerie Jardon, managing director at IA, workplace enthusiast, workplace strategy expert.
Passion.
Yes, we'll get into some of that, but I ask everybody to send me questions, and sometimes they're surface level, or you just went for it. You gave me some great questions.
Yay.
I'm excited to get into with you. I want to start with the easy fun stuff.
Okay.
Before I do that, there was a little, maybe it's a coincidence, I don't know, funny thing I ran into. I had Joanna Jablonski on this morning.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at your profile, I'm looking at her profile, and I'm like, wait a minute, they went to the College of
We
DuPage
sure did.
at the same time, which is kind of wild.
We did. Yeah.
So-
we graduated together.
Yeah, like, 2005, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Crazy. Small
So,
world.
a small world, yeah.
I love Joanna. I saw her at Leaders Breakfast. It was lovely to see her. I haven't seen her in a while.
I just met her in that moment, so it
Oh,
was really
wow.
fun. Yeah, yeah.
It is a small world.
Okay. Fun little warm-up questions.
Okay. What do we got?
If you could borrow a famous person's swagger for a day, who would that be?
Well, I mean, you say famous person and swagger in the same sentence, and the only person I can think of is Johnny Depp. Because he's got a lot of swagger in terms
Boy
of how
has
he
some swagger.
moves, the tattoos, the jewelry. I think it would be him. I just think he would, yeah.
Would you be comfortable in that swaggy moment?
I think so.
That's
He
fun.
owns it so well.
Yeah.
And it's so uniquely him that I think that summarizes me too. And so like I want to be uniquely me. So
I love it.
I'd go
Cool.
for Johnny.
How about this one? If you could be a walk-on cameo on a TV show, what would it be?
Walk on cameo for a TV show. Well, funny story, I actually was a background person on a movie.
Of course you were. I'm like, you actually answered the question.
I actually have an IMDb page.
Are you serious?
Swear to God.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy.
But yeah, I was an extra in the movie Girl on the Third Floor
Okay.
for a client of mine, MPI Media, and it was a horror movie that was filmed in a house that we did drawings for so that they could renovate it and
Oh,
flip
wow.
it. And we designed their corporate office, and they were like, "Hey, you want to be an extra in this movie?" I was like, "Sure." Husband and I went down. We were in the bar scene. It was great.
Did you have a line, or did you?
No speaking role. We were just
Okay.
in the background pretending to talk. They were like, "Can you pretend like you like each other?" I was like, "I think we could figure that out."
I would hope you could do that with your husband. I was told, now I don't know if this is true, like when models sit across from each other and then the stage director or the photographer asks the models to talk, that they just say peas and carrots over and over again.
Actually, you don't speak.
Really?
So it's completely silent. It's all gesturing, and then they trigger the person or people to come in and like they say their lines, and then they like yell cut, and they do like all of these crazy like tests to make sure that the quiet is still there. It's wild.
Oh, man.
But it's totally silent. You're just like talking to us. It's the craziest thing ever.
It's totally random. Wild. Okay, I just want to ask another question because you know what? You kind of wormed your way out of that one.
I did.
If there was a childhood game or toy or board game that could become an Olympic sport,
Oh God.
what would be your best chance of medaling? And don't say blocks. Everybody answers blocks.
No,
thank you.
no, I was thinking of all the board games we played as kids. I hated Sorry more than anything in the whole wide world, and Trouble. Like my sister always beat me in that game. I feel like the game Mousetrap though.
Oh, that's such a good game.
Yeah, and I feel like it's very, strategic. You got to set up the traps and hope that they all work when you want them to.
Yeah, that's a good one. Good answer.
I'd go with that one.
All right. Well, let's get into your questions because they're good. I'm just gonna go for it.
Okay.
Valerie, what's making you happy these days?
I love this question. This is like my go-to question whenever I'm talking to people. What is making me happy these days? It's just so many things. Honestly, compared to last year, which let me tell you was terrible, this year has been phenomenal.
Wow.
Personally, professionally, everything. Uh, just so many things. My daughter just graduated. She got her, she was pinned last weekend as a
Oh,
nurse.
nice.
So yay, we have a nurse. My other one's like busy exploring Milwaukee and finding her footing. We're finally like hitting our stride just like as people, right? Like everybody in the house is an adult now. It's kind of cool. My mom beat cancer this
Hey.
year, so that was a huge win,
Yeah.
happy moment. And then professionally, we like blew up our strategy practice at the end of last year, started something completely new this year. Somehow I convinced Aida to trust me to to lead it all, which has been amazing and terrifying all at the same time.
Congratulations.
But I've been really excited with the progress we've made and the team that we've built, and just loving all of it right now.
So, I mean, I want to springboard off this. So,
Yeah.
you just presented me a whole bouquet of happy,
All kinds of
right?
things.
All
Yeah.
kinds of happy. What changes when you're that happy?
What changes? I think it's the drive and the passion. Don't get me wrong. I still wake up every morning with a, gotta get up. Like there's not a morning. Plus, I'm a night
Are
person.
you getting up to your alarm or are you just waking
No,
up?
I'm getting up to my alarm.
All
I am
right.
not a morning person.
Okay.
I would much rather be up at 2 a.m. than waking up at 6 a.m. But yeah, I don't know. What changes? It's your passion. It's like how you show up. It's, you're excited to be there even when it's hard and you're in the trenches with something, whether it's a hard client or a fight that you have or whatever, whatever it is,
Yeah.
you find more meaning and more interest in working harder, making up things. You're like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
You have more faith in yourself. I feel like I've beat imposter syndrome a little bit too,
Hey, that's huge.
which is huge. It still comes, but I can now say, no, look at all of this stuff that I've done. Stop it.
Yeah.
You be quiet.
I had a conversation with somebody this morning with a friend of mine, and she was telling me about how after a Zoom call that she was on, a colleague that was much older corrected her. Didn't correct her, but made some constructive criticism.
Sure.
And she said, I just felt like a little kid in that moment, and I was like, you know what? I feel like a little kid all the time. I
Seriously.
always feel, I feel like you never stop battling this, these feelings of like, I really don't belong here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. In fact, I had hired Sally Augustine to be on our team for the first half of the year to help get a bunch of stuff set up and going. And she's a doctor. She's has a PhD. And so for a while there, I would laugh. I was like, well, she's the PhD and I'm the WebMD. I have enough data to be dangerous.
That's funny.
But I'm not actually a PhD.
Yeah.
So yeah, you always find something to compare yourself to. But at the
Totally.
end of the day, we are all just trying to do the best that we can. So you got to give
Yeah.
yourself some grace.
I actually think that's the key thing is, the imposter syndrome doesn't come from a place of insecurity, or it doesn't have to. It can come from a place of like, it just means you care.
Right.
It just means you're trying to do the best and you're self-conscious of that. And that's not a bad thing.
Somebody just said to me recently too that it's your inner critic is a way of keeping you safe. And that you have to embrace your inner child to really, shake yourself free from that and, remind yourself that it's okay to explore and take risks. I thought that was really powerful.
It is. All right. Let's you said it's been a heck of a year, a great year.
A good year.
So what have you maybe heard or experienced in this year that's changed the way you think?
There was a good one. So I went to this really great conference this year. Never heard of it before. sounded great. There's person that I follow, a lot of his publications and things, and he was going to be speaking. And I thought, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go. I'm going to go and check it out. And it ended up being like a conference of consultants. Okay. So there was just a lot of really great people that do similar overlapping Venn diagrams, but nobody necessarily 100% in anybody's bucket. And a lot of just really good stories and lessons. And there was a keynote speaker that was talking about how to reflect. His story was specifically around loss. And I don't think there was a dry eye in the room, quite honestly. But he was talking about loss, and he was telling a story about a friend. And I do pull this out and think it applies to basically like everything, in terms of change. But he had said the friend was at the mother's bedside, and the mom was passing away of cancer, and she was just very distraught, as to be expected, and was like crying, like, I can't imagine what my life is going to be like without my mom. And it was a family friend that came in and said, you're right. You will have no idea what life will be like without your mom, because that version of you hasn't been born yet. And I just, it
Wow.
still gives me chills, but I was like, oh yeah. Wow. Like, think about that.
Yeah.
That version of you hasn't been born yet. And it's not until that version of you comes into existence that you find your strength, you find your ability to move on, you find and adjust to your new normal. And that's everything in life. It's not even just losing a loved one. That's any major change that you have. I was like,
Yeah.
wow,
It's kind of weird to think that there are versions of ourselves out there
right?
that are going to come, and we just don't even know it yet. And we have no idea what that person's going to be like.
And look back. Like, how
Yeah.
many versions of yourself do you see if you think about it and you
Oh,
look back?
totally.
It's crazy.
Totally. I mean, there's ones that you're proud of, and there's ones that you're like, what? Yeah.
We're not going to talk about those.
That's really funny. Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting exercise, even to just say,
Yeah.
all right, well, how many lie ahead, and how many, how much control over that version of yourself do you have? Like, this
Right.
is,
And how different are you from one to the next? What were the drivers or the catalysts behind changing you? Because it's got to be something pretty significant that
yeah,
makes you a new version.
yeah. Kind of like Taylor Swift. She has all these eras, right?
Right. Right.
It's like,
I know. I'm like,
we're
am
just
I
living out one big
am I
Taylor Swift.
Valerie 6.0 at this point? Like, I don't know. I don't know where I'm at. I'd have to count them all.
You're in your awesome era right now.
It feels good this year.
Yeah, it's a good era for you. That's really funny. Let's do this. Let's get into your team a little bit. I know you're
Yeah.
passionate about building a great team. What's your dream team look like? Like, who's on that team?
I want every mind imaginable, the diverse perspectives, all the different types of just ways of thinking. We talk about diversity all the time, and I was reading this really great book about diversity and how people will hire based on visual diversity, but in reality, they end up hiring all of the same thinkers.
Hmm.
And I was like, wow, that was another one where it's like, oof, yeah, that's wild to think about. And so I've tried really hard to find not just people who are trained in design or architecture, but might have like a UX UI background, or ethnographic observations, or anthropology, IO psychology, neuroscience. Like, if I could have a really solid person, data analytics, but then I want a stellar data visualization person,
Yeah.
because that's, you need the graphic elements. There's so many things, right?
There
So
is.
I want all the different minds.
It's kind of funny. I reflect on the team that I'm a part of, the team I'm very close with. And, there's, of course, the different minds, but there's also like, there's these different energies they have, where I have like the big time risk taker, and I have the big time, like safety checker,
Yeah.
and the analytics person, and the life of the party person. It's like there's all these different, and the one that has like this crazy sense of empathy, that can just relate to anyone. It's
Yeah.
kind of interesting, like when you start to dig into, how those differences come together. I mean, are you actively recruiting with that in mind? Like,
Hmm.
do you have in your mind, like, here's holes I'm trying to fill?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Regionally. So the fun thing about what happened this year was we became our own P&L. So we're a standalone studio now within IA, and we're not a geographic location. So normally it would be, Chicago studio versus a San Francisco studio, whatever.
Yep.
Because we are more of an ambiguous group, we can hire where there's talent. And so I'm thinking already of like, what regions do I want to hire in? What studio? Because we have to market internally just as much as externally because we work, our studios essentially bring us to projects as well. So it's, which studios support us? Where do we want to be to align them, to support them best? But then also the talent. But yes, I spent all of last year doing a business plan, and I've stuck to it pretty well, but
Wow.
it was all very clearly laid out.
I mean, it's great to have a plan and stick to it. That's hard,
It
actually.
is,
It's
it
harder
is.
than it
And I've
seems.
pivoted, don't get me wrong. There's been some pivots there. But you have to have a big picture in order to figure out where you're going.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Um, I want to ask some more of the questions you give me, but I kind of want to stray into
You do
while we're in
you.
your studio and we're in your kind of workplace mind.
Yeah.
I want to get into the future work
Mm.
because um, a person that's as positive as you, I think that's the future I want to hear about. There's a lot of doom and gloom around work and workplace, surrounded by, and the meaning of place in
Hmm.
work today, because of obviously the the hybrid world that we're in, but then also the AI evolution and what it means for our workplace of the future. Like, how steeped are you in kind of like playing out scenarios of
We're
what's ahead?
steeped.
Deeply
We're
steeped.
deeply steeped.
I want some of what's in your brain.
Okay. Well, let's see. You just asked me a lot of things.
I know, because it is all,
um,
it's like a
I
big
know it's
swirling
swirling.
storm.
It really is. I can say so. We just I can't say whom, but we just finished wrapping up or I guess we're literally wrapping it up right now. Uh, we've been working on it since August, so a few months in now, and we were hired for futurist perspective on future of work based on AI. They are a global company. They are, one of those $9.2 billion industries.
Right.
They're not small. They have 1 million square feet in a campus in one location. They're huge, and they basically were like, we need to figure out what does the future of work look like because it's like we want to pave the path. Rarely do we get that. Rarely clients are like, what is everybody else doing?
Oh,
And then we'll decide if we want to do the same or maybe stray a little bit,
yeah. Yeah.
sprinkle a little extra on something. But most of the time, people want to play it safe. These guys actually said, can we explore? And we went in with this whole process of, that we're going to talk about the VUCA world, right? The
Yep.
the volatile, uncertain, blah blah blah, and we're going to talk about like what do they assume will never change in the future of work. The team found a bunch of things to debunk all of the things they thought would never change.
Mm-hmm.
Even something as simple as saying people will need to work forever into the future.
Yeah.
There are things that could make that null and void at some point, right? So there's all these things that we basically threw back at them. We used AI and we wrote a story essentially that gave them a whole future scenario based on everything we knew about them and all these possible futures and the assumptions that they made. And then we had them react to different things. We started exploring different metrics. that would impact real estate specifically because of the future of AI. So, what is the impact of a humanoid robot on the work environment?
Yeah.
Right? What types of spaces would you have to have? There's limitations to data centers and their ability. We know there's a power drain, there's sustainability issue, right? There's all kinds of issues that come with AI. So we had conversations around resilience and redundancy, and if something goes down, how do you get it back up? And do you need to zone your office so that there's different things happening, so that you have safety nets based
Yeah.
inside of there, and there's some duplication of stuff rather than like a traditional, server room, and it supports large areas. Um, we had conversations about AI force reduction and what AI could potentially do for their growth over the course of 5 years. We didn't go past 5 years for them. We stayed within the 5 year realm, but we were looking at things like that of, what areas and jobs are most impacted, I guess, by AI.
Yep.
And it's not the entire workforce, right? So we ran different scenarios looking at maybe 20% of the workforce versus 30% of the workforce. Um, I think there's a lot of techno-optimism with AI too, in the sense where people are saying it's going to be probably 20 years before it replaces 50% of what we do. So from that perspective, it was like, all right, let's start to scale that back. So maybe you're only really reducing your staff by, X percent over so many years. So we
Yep.
ran a bunch of different scenarios and showed them what their growth would look like based on the AI impacts on the workforce. And ultimately, it was all to get to a total square footage of what they would need in the next 5 years.
I want to dig into assumptions. Before I do that, though, I kind of want to stray into humanoids
Yeah,
because you
humanoid.
mentioned humanoids.
I
I,
know,
I
it's
was doing a
wild.
little research of my own,
Hmm.
and I was seeing the timelines of 5 to 8 years.
Hmm.
Within 5 to 8 years, there will be mainstream humanoids, meaning I might have an interaction with a humanoid at a restaurant or a store or a
Yeah,
hotel.
absolutely.
5 to 8 years is like nothing.
No, it really
So
isn't in the grand scheme of things.
I kind of wonder, like, are we going? Because like I feel like we just got to human-centered design. Like, I mean, I know we've been doing that for a while, but it doesn't feel like we were really authentically digging in at a science level and understanding like we have been over the past 10 years,
Hmm.
Um, but now, like, are we gonna do a humanoid-centered design? Meaning, like, are there products and doorways and, like spatial elements we need to consider?
There are, depending on the type of robot you put into place. We see, so one of our studios does a lot of work. They've kind of become a little expert bubble in humanoid manufacturing.
Wow.
So it's super cool to do work with that studio because we get to learn a lot about that. And if you're talking about humanoids walking, looking like a human, um, they don't necessarily need different paths of travel within space. Their support systems are going to be a smaller footprint. They technically would be smart enough to know that they can go charge themselves and take care, plug themselves in when they need to. In fact, we've had conversations with the manufacturers where they're saying they're going to walk off the assembly line and box themselves at some point. They're not there yet, but they're like, at some point that
That's
could
kind of
happen. It's
nuts.
wild. It's wild. And that's changed the conversation for manufacturing. It's been as a
Sure.
total tangent because that's been really fascinating to see how there's so much more emphasis and meaning on the employees that work in manufacturing because the intellectual property is so protected right now that they don't want turnover, and so they're investing more into their employees.
Yeah.
It's just a total interesting sidebar that I'm seeing as a outcome of all of it. But the other flip side of robots is that you have the non-human looking ones, and those are like the little, like you see the Cocoa bots and stuff running
Right.
around. And if you have something like that employed in your workplace, and I've seen organizations that do have those, um, then you have to create a completely separate path of travel because they're just zooming, they're moving all around and they're doing all kinds of things, and so there's a square footage impact to that, but it is really interesting.
It is. I wonder, like, if a non-human looking robot would assimilate better into an office world. I'm not saying manufactured, but into an office world than an actual humanoid, one that looks like a human. Like,
I've had conversations with Dr. Augustine about this because I'm like,
like,
what's the
will
psychology
people
behind this?
disrespect the other? Like,
Well,
will the
she
other one be
actually,
invited to lunch meetings or what? You know,
I don't think anybody is ready to sit next to a humanoid and be
let's
like,
invite
hey,
Bob. Come
yeah,
on,
what do you
you know?
call it? No, like, let's name it. In fact, one of the manufacturers, they were talking about their adoption center. And I was like, I said, I hope, do you have plans for like retail environments for these things? Because you know people are going to be dressing
Yeah.
them. But no, a psychology perspective, my understanding is that we do trust things that look like us
Mm,
more than we trust things that don't. But I think there's a learning curve there. Now, convenience is always going to be the bane of our existence, and that's what we like search for to make our lives easier. And so once we realize that they're going to be convenient for us, we'll
mm,
probably adopt them without a whole lot of pushback. But I do in the workplace, I see them starting as more of an operational service oriented
sure.
perspective. It's not going to be we're crunching numbers next to each other and doing design, with one another. I think
Yeah.
they're going to be more service oriented for a while.
Okay.
It's going to be Rosie from the
Wild.
Jetsons.
It
Yeah.
is. Like if they were, don't you wonder if they were making the Jetsons now? Like if we were to remake it,
Oh, wow.
like what would we put in there?
Rosie would probably be hotter.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Oh, I kind of want to go back and rewatch the Jetsons. I haven't, and
Mhm.
just like figure out like what are those things they got right? What are
I
those
don't know.
things that,
I'm
yeah,
I'm glad they haven't let dogs talk yet.
yeah, there's that.
Though we do have the buttons.
You said something about assumptions and how people make all these assumptions about the future.
Mhm.
What is a typical assumption that is maybe widely felt that you feel is wrong?
Well, there's the things that we take for granted, like we'll always need to work, um, because there are universal basic income concepts and things that have been floated over the years, and some countries do to some extent. So, no, you don't necessarily always have to work. I think that's probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
Um, I think we take a lot of things for granted that have always been a certain way, and so when we do that, we lose the curiosity of what it could be, and then we're like blindsided when something changes. We're going, oh my gosh, um, nobody works now,
Yeah.
just to be extreme with it. So I mean, there was definitely some others, like trying to think what else came up on theirs, but that I remember that one off the top of my head. There was five other ones that are not coming to me right now.
I feel like one of the mistakes that people typically make about the future is they imagine it as an extension of the present.
Oh, for sure.
And it's like, it's actually like nothing like today.
True, right? And you can ideally, I mean, if you are creative enough to think about it, you can make the future whatever you want it to be,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
But we do get in our own way. I was just reading this really great study too about like why is it so hard for us to save for our future, save for retirement? And there was data in this study that was showing how your brain lights up when you think about yourself versus when you think about another person. And there's actually two
Hmm.
different regions of your brain that light up. So we'll just say this side lights up when I think about me, and this side lights up when I think about you. But when I think about me past 10 years, it's the same side as the stranger that lights up, or the other
Wow.
person. And so it's really interesting. I don't know how that all translates into something, but just the basic idea of your future self lights up a different part of your brain, or lights up the part of your brain that you think of a stranger, is really fascinating, because it
That
takes away
is.
that connection of this is going to be me, this is going to impact me, I should be doing these things.
I feel like it goes back to this. There's an alternate version of ourselves that
Right.
we don't know. Maybe we already know that.
Right. Maybe we do,
That's kind of wild.
but you'll never be able to imagine that future self. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah. I mean, I'm just, it's a little exercise trying to do it in my own head. And imagining like an old version of me. You know what has helped with that?
Hmm.
Those Snapchat filters that you can put over
Oh
your
no.
face and see what you're gonna look like when you're 80. And
I'm
like,
going to look a lot like my grandmother. It's terrifying.
oh yeah, I look like my mother's father. Like when I looked at which I never would say I looked like him, but when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, I
Yep.
am Grandpa Marquardt. It's
Mine's
crazy.
Grandma D. Yep, I'm
Yeah,
gonna look like Grandma D.
that's like, ah, that's wild. Um, okay. Um, all right, let's talk about you know, being retrospective. We've been very future focused. Um, you had a little comment earlier about not in this conversation, in a prior one, about being careful what you wish for.
Yes.
And I guess wishing is still a future focused idea, but you're looking at it from a retrospective point of view.
Mm-hmm. I was. Yeah. Because I used to always say, I think I was probably a teenager growing up, I used to always say, gosh, I wish people were forced to walk around with a camera in their pocket so they could be forced to take a moment and enjoy the world around them. And looking back
Whoa.
on that, I'm like, oh, I hate that I ever said that out loud.
Wait a minute. That's kind of wild.
It's crazy. But that was like a big thing that I used to think about all the time.
Because the
Like,
camera would make you feel like I need to capture
yeah, it like you
something, right?
saw beauty then. Like you saw things that were either positioned in a way that drew your eye in. There was just so many things. Like, think about why you would want to take a picture. You're
Mm,
capturing something that you really resonates with you, that warms you in some way. Um, or you're just like, oh my gosh, somebody else needs to see this other
yeah.
than just me. And I thought that was such a beautiful thing. And so I was like, if I was ever president someday, I would, mandate that people would have to walk around with a camera in their pocket. And now people walk around with their cameras in their pockets, and it's become such a superficial,
Yeah.
fake world that I'm like, oh gosh, I hate that I ever wished for that.
Do you wonder, like, what if they charged, like, not they, because I don't even know who they is, but,
The
you
men
know,
on the
like
mountain.
10 cents a photo, or like if there was an app that you could have that was like every photo you take, you donate 10 cents to something. And then it's
Oh,
like you start seeing the bills every month. You're like, you know what? I think I'll cut back on those photos. I don't know. I'm trying to figure
maybe.
out like, the swear jar approach,
Right. Yeah, no,
like
that makes sense.
it could either be that or, like, do you start with 100? I don't know. Be kind of interesting to think about like how we would treat photos if we were forced to ration them.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's taken away and of course you don't think about these things, but like I'd never in a million years would have seen that as an outcome of wishing people would have something to make them stop and think and appreciate the world around them,
Yeah.
and that it would become such a
It's kind of
such a
funny.
dismissed thing now.
We're having this conversation in front of a
I
photographer
know.
who's probably like, he's like, I have a lot to say about this, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's wild. It's crazy how it all comes
It is,
together.
it is crazy.
That's why it's like you got to be careful what you put out into the universe because you never know what's going
Yeah.
to come
So what
true.
else are you wishing for? Maybe it's a good business idea that I should be kind of in the loop on.
No, I don't know.
That's funny. All right. Last question that you had tossed me was around goals. Um, and I don't know if there's a goal that you have for yourself that you're chasing. Maybe it's an alternate version of yourself that's
Yeah.
out there.
I definitely have an alternate version of my self goal, and that's I would love more than anything to go back to school.
Me too.
Dear Lord, if I gotta get
I
through
know.
I gotta get the I gotta get the
I
I
signed
gotta
at the
get the two
exact same
kids
time.
through college, and I did my MBA a few years ago, but I would really love to go back to school for like an IO psychology or neuroscience or something. Like I would love to get my doctorate in something.
It's the best place on the
Mm.
planet.
It just sounds lovely. You know what though? I'm like tired thinking about it. So that's why I'm like, I think it's probably the farthest reality from me right now. But I know I could do it if I finally just pulled the trigger. It's one of those ones where you're like,
I mean, when you're in it,
risk
you just can't wait to be
reward.
over with it.
That too. And it's just risk reward at this point. I have to, what I have to learn to do is not be the one that knows everything all the time. Like I have to trust that I'm going to hire the people who know all of the things I don't know,
Yeah.
because they'll make me better and together we'll all be better, rather than me trying to learn every trade
Yeah.
and then hoping that I can do it. It's like I don't need to play every instrument.
That's really funny. So like our CEO was telling me he knew that AI would be an important part of the fabric of work.
Yeah.
And he's like, he knows he has to find, people that can help us down this path. But he himself was like, I just need to go in and learn enough to call BS,
Right.
And so like that was what he did. He self-taught himself on AI courses, and tries to stay close to it so that he can, be in that position. So it's like you just need to know enough to call BS.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Well,
Yeah.
and just like, how do you do proper research and how do you siphon through the BS? So, absolutely, I agree. So that's why it's like maybe there's a Valerie 7.0 out there that has a PhD, but I don't think I've hit that goal yet.
So you said you're on 6.0.
I'm just guessing. I
Okay,
have no
because I was
idea.
like,
No.
do you actually have
No, I
like
just threw out
3D
a
printed
number.
versions of yourself that are sitting on a shelf?
Nope, I just threw out a number. I did have somebody tell me once that that your like whole inner person, your physiology changes every 7 years.
Wow.
And so I tried to go back and like think through like where was I at every 7 years of my life? But that doesn't equate to versions. I have no idea.
I definitely went up a belt buckle. I know that. Like with certainty. That guy had
Just one? I'm proud of you. That's not
it
bad.
was just one. But I mean it was enough to where like I have a lot of unusable attire. So
That's when you put it in the box and that's your future self that you hope you get back
I
to.
gave up. I didn't.
I love the quote of I wish I was as fat as I was the first time I thought I was fat. That's my favorite.
That's crazy.
Like, yes.
That's funny. That's really good. Let's talk stories. Like, do you have a story in your life that you love telling?
A story in my life.
Like
You know what? I think my origin story is probably the one that I tell the most, because people don't think it. Like, I don't know. Maybe I just carry myself in a certain way, but I come from a broken family. Divorced parents, got divorced when I was like 3. Parents got remarried. Certainly loving mom, totally like disappeared dad kind of a thing. But neither of my parents graduated high school. I was the first one to go to college, and it really wasn't until I got married when I was 20. I met my husband when I was 20. I got married when I was 21. Had my daughter when I was 22.
Wow.
And it was my husband that was like, you should go to school. Actually, it was really funny. I distinctly this was where one version was born. I can tell you for a fact. We were pushing the baby. We were taking, Julia for a walk. And I said, I was working for Xerox at the time. And I said, I hate this job. And he said, so quit. And I said, but then what? And he goes, well, stay home with the baby. Like, but I need to be more than just mom. I have to be Valerie at some capacity. And he goes, so then go to school. And I was like, but I don't want to go to school. Because I had no concept of what college was like or what it was supposed to be. And I just assumed it was an extension of high school. And I was like, I hate it. And I was like, no, I'm not going to school. And he goes, well, then shut the And I was like, noted. Okay, I got you. And it was like that was all I needed. And it like flipped my switch in me. And
Oh my gosh.
I went and looked up the community college and here I am. So it's wild. I think that's just
wild.
a wild, it's crazy to think about you hear so much like people get brought up into certain things and they're like set on this course because of the family that has raised them, and they go to college because they've been surrounded by all of these college people. And I like knowing that I went against the stream and I broke the family kind of norm.
When you're talking about this person, which side of your brain is lighting up? The side that associates that person with you, or the side that thinks about it like a stranger?
Oh no, it's definitely me. It's definitely me, but it's funny because it's when I talk to people from my past that know me as Valerie Bilski, and I've been married for 25 years, so it's like 24 years, whatever. Um, so most people don't know me as that anymore. But anybody who did know me as that, they're like blown away that one, I'm still alive
Oh
because
my gosh.
I was a horrible teenager and did a lot of terrible things. So they were like, I'm surprised you're still alive, and I'm surprised that you've done anything with yourself.
Wow.
So anybody who knew me from back then is like, wow, wild.
That is wild. I mean, the steps to where you are now.
You
That's
never
I
know.
just I'm having a hard time. Like, I'm trying to like picture it on paper. Like, was it this linear thing? Was there like this huge jump that happened and you were woken up? But it sounds like it was just grinding.
It was
You were at
grinding.
school, you did the thing, you spent the time, and you took the time.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like I needed to have, I think, and this is why I think leaders breakfast 2 weeks ago, I was so
And
emotional.
congratulations, because
Thank
you
you.
did win the. I
I
mean, I don't know if you
did.
want to. You should speak to that because that was a big deal.
It was a huge deal. In fact, I said to somebody, I was like, the only thing I could feel like or imagine feeling in the future that would compare to like the love that I got that day would be if I could come back and see my eulogies happening after I passed away. Like
Oh
I
my
just
gosh.
don't imagine having that much like love in a room ever again. It was just wild. Um, and winning that was so meaningful to me because I
Yeah.
know like the process of how it all works and blah blah blah. And it just it was so cool. But I didn't think I was going to get through my speech. I got up
Wow.
there and I started to do the rehearsal and I just broke down and I was like, I don't think I can do this. And I was totally crying. And, Cheryl's standing in front of me going, you need to project. You need to look up. You need to calm down, and I'm just like, oh my God. And I literally thought I was not going to be able to get through it. And it was very much so because I started with my thank yous. I
Yeah.
wanted to kick off and just get the thank yous out of the way, thank my family, and then I had a whole speech that I wrote reflecting on kind of my path based on my tattoos because I get a tattoo for every decade of my life.
Oh wow.
So I told my stories through my tattoos, but I couldn't get past the thank yous in rehearsal because I was just like, oh God, and saying thank you to my husband and looking at him in that room of all those people, and my daughters were both there as well, and my mom was there. Had it just broke me because there
Yeah.
was saying thank you. It is like the two most hollow words you could possibly say when you think about all of the stuff that they
Yeah.
supported me on,
Yeah.
and that I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't, or sitting here if it wasn't for my husband telling me to shut the fuck up. But it still like got me there, and like
Yeah.
that was the wake up call that I needed,
Yeah.
and
In
my
that
kids
moment,
kept
those
me
were
there.
maybe he just knew what you needed to hear.
Yeah, he just doesn't have a whole lot of sympathy, which is
I,
fine too.
you know what's interesting though is like you got to say these thank yous, but we don't have to. You don't have to win or receive an
No,
honor
you're right.
to go through that process. I mean,
You're
what a
right.
cool opportunity you got to do that. But like, I guess we can just do that anytime we want.
We can, and I do actually. I do say thank you to
I
them.
don't say it enough. I know I need to.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good feeling. Even my mom, like I put my mom through a lot growing up, and she's definitely somebody that I regularly try and like give back to. I'm like, I want you to feel special because you are and you did so much for me. So that was super fun at Leaders Breakfast. They had the one thing I knew I wanted to do in my speech. And let me tell you, I racked my brain forever. Like, what do you even talk about? Who cares about any of like
Yeah.
who in the audience cares about what I have to say? And the one thing I knew hands down I was going to do was present my mother with a bumper sticker
fun. How
because
long did it take you to find the right one?
oh no, I made one.
Oh,
I made
okay.
it custom because I'm
I was
psychotic.
gonna say, I'm sorry.
No, it said, okay, so basically the story was that growing up, again, there was zero, literally the only bar I had to hit was to graduate high school. That was it. That was the only bar I had to hit. And in high school, she was like, and if you can get me one of those bumper stickers that said, I have an honor roll student, I'd love it. And I was like, seriously? And I did. I got it for her. And it hung on the fridge because she hates bumper stickers and wouldn't put it on her car. But I was like, whatever. I did it. So I brought that up in my speech and I presented her with a new bumper sticker that said, my daughter is an IIDA Leaders Breakfast honoree.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
I love that. So I didn't care what else I talked about. I'm like, I just have to make sure I get the bumper sticker done.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really sweet. It's a good story.
It was fun.
And it literally just happened.
Yeah. Fresh.
Wow.
Fresh.
That's pretty cool.
It was fun. I was
Um,
grateful.
You've been wonderful. I mean, are there any avenues we haven't gone down that, because I mean, look, I know that you, obviously in your position, you mentor a lot of people, you set direction, you imagine the future. We got into a little of all that,
Mm-hmm.
but is there a nugget of wisdom that maybe would be sort of like your gem that
Mm-hmm.
you want others to have from you?
My nugget of wisdom. I don't think it's a nugget, maybe a boulder, but I
Boulder
suppose, yeah.
list.
No, I have one of my goals this year or next year is I want to write a book around the harmonic principles and what we've been developing on that, and just get it out for people to use. And I think it takes the conversation about design and pushes past just human-centered design or sustainable design or any one of those lanes, that it's
Yeah.
more about resonance and designing in a way that to make everybody recognize that what we do will come back to us. It's just an echo that goes out and will bounce back in some capacity. And I want people to be really thoughtful about the decisions they make when they're designing, when they're creating, when they're making futures a reality. And really think about what that means for long term. So yeah, it's a boulder though. It's not really a nugget.
Yeah,
You can
I
just
mean,
pick
the
that one.
places we make are reflections of ourselves. I mean, I
Yeah.
love this idea. So
Yeah.
it's a boulder.
It's a boulder,
Yeah,
but I'll keep pushing it. It's fine.
I love it. Valerie, thanks for joining me.
Yeah,
This is a
thanks for
great
having me. This is
conversation.
awesome. I could talk to you forever.
Thanks for joining me here on Love What You Do.